Hello everybody and welcome to Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. Hit that subscribe button, share this video because somebody needs to see it. Hit that like button, support the mission, saving kids from life imprisonment and premature death each and every day. So as many of you know, I spent 18 years of my life in federal prison. And we talk about the violence, we talk about all that stuff because it's that door that we need to open in order to bring kids in to listen to the mission, to listen to the story, so that we can teach them something. And today we're going to talk about a guy named Marcio LaFlora. Marcio LaFlora was 19 years old when he was sentenced to 43 years. 43 years in federal prison at the age of 19. Could you imagine what it's like to spend 43 years of your life in prison at the age of 19? What, are you going to go home when you're 62? But why was Marcio LaFlora sentenced to 43 years in prison? He was committing robberies, armed robberies with a gun. But Marcio didn't get rich. No. He wasn't going to retire from being a robber. Instead, he was sentenced to 43 years in federal prison. He was sentenced to spend the best years of his life in a federal prison behind the wall with some of them guys we talked about the other day. But Marcio has been in prison for, I want to say about 21 or 22 years so far. But Marcio's not going to die in prison. He's not going to get out when he's 62 or 63. But there's a reason why. Marcio had contacted me through a good friend of mine, Weldon Angelos. Some of you guys might know who Weldon is. He was sentenced to 55 years in federal prison for stack 924Cs. So anyway, Weldon contacts me and he wants me to help his friend Marcio LaFlora. So what we did was we wrote a compassionate release motion for Marcio. Some people said it was an uphill battle, that we weren't going to be able to win Marcio's case because he had two separate 924C counts, right? Where they can give you 10 years on the first gun and 25 on the second, and then whatever they want to give you on the robbery. So the problem is Marcio had committed a robbery in one state. That was his first 924C. That comes with 5 years, 7 years, or 10 years, on top of whatever he gets for the robbery. And then Marcio was never arrested after he did that first robbery. He was in another state, and he committed another robbery. And that's how they banged him with that second 25 years on top of whatever he could get for the first gun and the robbery. So Marcio ended up with that 43-year sentence. And he contacted me at Freedom Fighters, and I did Marcio's motion. And Marcio's going to be going home on Monday instead of when he's 62 years old. The judge granted his compassionate release motion. Marcio was one of the lucky guys. Or was he lucky? I don't know. You tell me if you think Marcio was lucky. Because this is the problem. Marcio's lucky now because he's going home. But he spent 20 years of his life in prison already. And that's what this is about. Are you out there getting money right now? You out there robbing people? I mean, if you are, I want to know if you feel like you're going to possibly retire. Think you're going to retire from being a drug dealer? Think you're going to retire from selling guns or robbing people? Probably not. Your retirement's going to be a federal prison, more than likely. Because, that's what the feds do nowadays. Nowadays, if you're robbing stuff or carrying guns, they ain't sending you to state court no more. They're sending you to the big dogs because they know what kind of time they can give you. You would think, wow, the feds can give you that kind of time for a gun. Let me tell you something. I was sentenced to 5 years for a 12-gauge shotgun, 25 years for a 22 rifle. Yeah, a 22 rifle, and 10 years for the crack. I was a crack dealer. And that was a total of 40 years. And they stacked them. They put them on top of each other. 5, 25, and 10. And I was lucky to get out on compassionate release just like Marcio's getting out now. And yeah, the laws are changing. But these people still aren't playing any games. They still want to send you into that penitentiary. What they want to do is they want to put you in prison till the sun burns out. They have no remorse. They have no compassion. They don't care about you. They don't care about your mother. They don't care about your father. They don't care about your kids. They're bent on sending you to prison for as long as they could possibly send you there. Federal prison and the federal criminal justice system isn't like what you think. It's not like the state. You can't go down there and start making deals and think you're going to get out. They don't do that stuff over there. Unless, of course, you cooperate and tell on people. But you don't want to be that dude either, right? You don't want to be like them dudes on that first 48 show. Because you're in the street, right? You're a gangster. That's the life that you're living. Just want you to know that the feds could take your life at the blink of a moment. And you may not be as lucky as Marciola, Florida, get out when you're in your 40s instead of when you're 62 or 63. You might not be as fortunate as I was to get out at 42 instead of 64. That's how old I would have been had I not been released on compassionate release. I would have been 64 years old, man. Really, am I lucky? Just like Marcio? Spent 18 years of my life in prison, locked up, circling that track, telling war stories, kicking it with the homeboys, dealing with the violence on a daily basis, wondering if, today might be the day that I lose my life, wondering if today might be the day that they call my mother and tell her, Miss Marks, I'm sorry to tell you, but your son was murdered today at the prison. You don't want them calling your mother and saying that. It's time to get out of the streets, man. It's time for you to change, to become the change that you seek to see in others. What do you really want with your life? You want to go inside this penitentiary? You want to deal with people in there that don't care about anything? Don't care about you, don't care about your life? They don't care if you eat, they don't care if you sleep, they don't care if you drink. You don't want to be that dude, man. You don't want to be the guy that's 19 years old and you get a 43-year sentence and you're sitting in a jail cell talking about how did this happen? I didn't kill anybody. People get more time in federal prison for selling drugs and robbing than they get for murder. Is that crazy? That's crazy, right? How could you even think that that's possible? I'm telling you that it's possible, man. I'm going to bring Weldon Angelos on the show hopefully within the next week. Brother was just on Fox News. He's doing big things for criminal justice reform. But his judge, when he released him, his judge talked about the fact that he had to give this man more time than he would have to give a terrorist or someone that raped kids. And Angelos was just selling weed, man. Weldon Angelos was selling weed and had a pistol on him and got 55 years. He wasn't no big-time weed dealer. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was doing things for Snoop Dogg and producing music. He ended up with a 55-year sentence at 24 years old. Don't be that dude, man. Don't be Chad, man, when you're 24 and you get 40 years. Talking about, man, 40 years? Because you can't even understand what 40 years is like. Because you're not even 40 years old yet, probably. The streets got nothing to offer you, man. They got nothing to offer you but a prison cell for a very long time. For a very, very long time. It's time to wake up, man. It's time to get your priorities right. It's time to figure out a different way. It's just a little short video for everybody today. But I'll be back at you tomorrow, I promise, with something exclusive. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Blood on the Razor Wire TV. I'm out. Until tomorrow.